There you go. The most important job of any government is to protect the rights of its citizens. And I view no right as sacred as the right of any individual to do what they want with their body so long as it does not harm others. I feel like victimless crimes should not be crimes in the first place. And over the course of this speech, we will talk about several different victimless crimes, and I will assert my opinion that they should be decriminalized. Now, I'm not trying to encourage anyone to take part in anything I talk about today. I just want to defend the rights of an individual to do these things. Let's talk about first our traffic citations, and the fact that if you're driving down the street, a police officer can pull you over because you're not wearing a seatbelt. And if you're an 18-year-old in this country, you are responsible for voting and holding the future of the political prowess of this nation at your hands, and someone who can vote for president can't decide whether or not he wants to wear a seatbelt. I think that's utterly ridiculous. I mean, that don't have to vote but cannot decide about their own safety. Of course, there's a lot of data to support like the health benefits of wearing a seatbelt, but there have also been incidents where people wearing seatbelts have died because that they're wearing seatbelts. And the 2006 Time article suggests that perceived safety from the seatbelts can lead to more reckless driving because they feel more secure and they feel more safe. Now, it's lovely that the government cares. You have to aim that at me, man. It's lovely that the government cares about the safety of its citizens, but isn't there a better way of handling this than finding and punishing people who don't contour to your views on safety? Like, every individual should have the sovereignty and the right to decide for themselves whether they want to, I don't know, whether they want to do something if it harms themselves but doesn't harm any other people. Let's talk next about gambling. And there are two forms of gambling that we'll talk about the most, and that's online gambling and casino gambling. And my question is, why do so many states have it illegal to gamble? Like, only a couple have both online and casino gambling legalized, and I think that's just ridiculous, because gambling is a silly thing to do, guys. It's silly. Because the people who run the games are going to be the ones who inevitably profit. But why should you not have the option to waste your money at a casino and you just throw it away? Instead of making criminals out of people who choose poorly and make poor choices, allow them to make those decisions and then just go on from there. Adults don't need the government trying to keep them from making mistakes. They need a government that respects their ability and that respects their right to make those bad decisions. Now, you all knew that this was coming, and so let's talk about drugs. Alright? In 2014, the New York Times reported that over the last 4 decades, $1 trillion plus have been spent by the US government trying to prevent drugs. And where has that led us, you ask? The Huffington Post in 2014 reported that 50.1% of people in federal prison today are in there because of drug-related crimes. The Federal Bureau of Prisons reported that 48.6% of people put in prison in May of 2015 were put in prison due to drug-related crimes. Now, for the land of the free and the home of the brave, this is a lot of people being arrested for victimless crimes and for not harming anybody but themselves. Of course, some of those crimes were not victimless, but the vast majority of police arrests that are related to drugs are just possession and personal use. If there's one thing that prohibition and the war on drugs have taught us, is that banning any one substance will not reduce or even slow the use of that substance. All it will do is make criminals out of everyday citizens and open room for criminal enterprises to thrive. Because here's the big scoop, guys. People will do drugs whether it's legal or not. And instead of making criminals, how about we just allow people who do drugs safely in their own homes? Why don't we just allow them to continue to do so? I think that all drugs should be legal, and when you hit the age of 18, you should have the right to do drugs, I guess. And I'm not encouraging or condoning drug use. I'm just saying, why punish people for what they privately do in their own homes? It makes no sense to me. And maybe I'm an optimist. Maybe I'm naive. Maybe I'm a product of this crazy internet generation that's ruining my brain. But I don't think it's a ridiculous assumption to say that America would not fall apart if drug use was legalized. I mean, I wouldn't even say that hard drug use would increase all that much if it was legalized. Because, Aaron, if heroin became legal tomorrow, would you grab yourself your trusty hypodermic needle and just go to town?
No.
Miranda, when you walk up the street and try to score some smack, I don't think you would. And I don't think 99.9% of America would do that.
At one point.
If you want to look at places that drug legalization has worked out well, look at Colorado and Washington, and look at the amount of money they're making not only on marijuana tax revenue, but on not sending people to prison anymore. And look at Portugal, which 14 years ago decriminalized all drugs, from marijuana to methamphetamines to everything. And you know what? Continued drug use and drug-induced deaths have both fallen in the years since. And not just fallen, but have fallen pretty dramatically, according to their own government census. Of course, alcohol and drugs can lead to crime like DUIs, and like actual people are in danger crime. And that's why we punish people for breaking the law. Because if you're actually harming someone, you should be punished. And if you're harming people while on drugs, you should be punished a lot more severely than if you're just harming people. This speech is all about freedom. It's all about everyone's personal choice and personal right to have the sovereignty to decide for themselves what they want to do. And far too many people, in my eyes, are incarcerated or punished or fined for doing things that are frankly nobody else's business but their own. And whether people are uncomfortable in seatbelts, elect to gamble, or do drugs, or even have consensual sex with somebody for money, if it is your personal decision and you have thought about it, you've weighed the pros and cons, you as an adult should have the right to choose. And you should have the right to choose without legal consequence. And that is a goal.
Go! Look, you made it in. That was impressive.